So, a few weeks ago, I made my first video about a brand new cycling management game releasing in 2026, Velo Victory. Personally, I'm quite excited to see where Velo Victory goes, and from your response on that video, I think you're pretty excited too. Now, in this video, I'm sitting down with the main man behind Velo Victory, Davy de Puit, to find out more about what we can expect from Velo Victory next year. Anyway, time to begin. So, Davy, when did you start thinking about potentially creating your own cycling management game?
Well, I think if we go back to the initial idea, we must go back over 15 years, I think, when I was still in high school, playing a lot of Football Manager back then. And I always dreamt, like, how cool would it be to have a game like this, but for cycling? And my main passions, they were also watching cycling, playing sports management games. And coding is also a big hobby of mine. So those three mixed together were the base idea for what is now becoming a reality.
Gotta say, I'm super excited. Based on the response on my first video about Velo Victory, the people are excited. Let's put a number on it. How many people currently work on Velo Victory, roughly?
The fixed team, the core team we are working with is 4 people. So that's myself included as the main developer, and then we have 3 people from WorldDB who are also really invested into the development of the game. People sometimes think, yeah, WorldDB, it's going to be data. No, it's much more than just the data. They make also designs on all kind of features and game mechanics. But then we often have some smaller or specific tasks where we need to bring in people from the outside, whether it's for a photo shoot or for some specific graphic stuff, where we really can use the expertise of someone who's very good at it. But yeah, the core team is the 4 of us.
How far would you say you are within the development timeline of Velo Victory? Because there's no specific release date yet. The Steam page says 2026.
If we exclude the race simulation for now, then from a backend design perspective, the game is done. Yeah, maybe to elaborate on that a bit more, how does it work? You start philosophy of the game. What direction do you want to go with this game? Then you break it down in different areas, different ideas, and then you refine those ideas into logic, into big analysis documents that you write. And then those analysis, you code them into the game. So that, except for the race simulation, that is done. What's the next step? That is, make the game visible. So make that people can interact with the game. So that's creating the UI, creating the screens. So you can see what you've built behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's what we are doing right now. So what people see is really the last part in the whole development process.
Okay, that makes sense. Sounds like the backbone of the game is quote unquote ready, and that now you're visualizing the UI to make sure that people can see and in the future as well play the game too. But what has been the hardest part about making Velo Victory, you would say?
We are a small team. So and we all are very passionate about cycling management games, and we had very wild ideas and a lot of ideas. So you can say we're going to do everything, and then you won't have a game in the first 5 years, or you need to make some choices, direction, and you need to do that early on. So that's one of the things that is hard, that you need to sit together and decide, okay, what will we do and won't we do? Another thing that is hard is that we're a small team. It's a first edition, and we also low budget. So I also told you, like, the race simulation excluded. We're still working on that. I can say we won't have the top AAA level graphics or the PCM graphics. That's impossible in the amount of time and the budget and the team we have for a first edition. So that are also things to consider early on when we started developing this.
Do you already have an idea of whether it will be 3D or not, or is that still to be decided?
Yeah, that's still to be decided. And I want to say I understand that people are curious about it, and they want to know, and the question comes back. But from our side, there's much more to a race simulation than just the graphics.
I agree.
So we've been working on the race simulation from the start already. So we do it in parallel with the other features. But the truth is that it's the most complex part of a game. And we don't want to under-promise or over-promise anything at the moment. because we are not 100% sure ourselves where we will end up.
I care so much about the off-the-pitch management, like transfers,
Yeah.
like scouting, like training. I'm that dude that spends 7 hours planning the entire race schedule. Now, there's also a few people that are not necessarily that person. So, will it be possible while playing Velo Victory to potentially delegate certain tasks to I don't know, staff members so that you don't have to do everything?
Yeah, first I can really relate to the type of player that you are. For me, the management features, that's something I really love to do. And I think you see the same thing with Football Manager this year. They upgraded the graphics. All content creators asked for it for so long, and the story isn't about the graphics post-release. It's about all the rest. So it shows that the rest of a management game is certainly really important as well. And to come back to your question, yeah, we want to have the game accessible to a wide range of players. So the people that know Pro Cycling Manager, but also the people that just love sports management games, or people that love cycling but never played a real true management game. And to do that, we needed to do some stuff in the UI that facilitate that. So as you said, there's going to be an assistant if it's for scheduling, choosing rider objectives, maybe even offering a contract to a rider. You always have the assistant that can make a suggestion for you, or that can make an initial planning or suggest some objectives. And then, okay, you can say, this is very difficult for me. I will just accept what the assistant says. It seems logical. Okay, and you can click continue and play. You can play 20 seasons in a week. And then you also have the players that say, okay, thank you, assistant, but I'm much better at this. I disregard your advice, and you start everything from scratch. That's also possible. Also, for the people that really need the assistance, the UI is also filled with like hovers, info icons that explain more what's on screen, why you should do something or not do something, to really make the game as accessible as possible to anyone that plays it.
Now, I want to zoom out a little bit, and we've mentioned Pro Cycling Manager a couple of times. I don't want to talk about both games in every single question, but I do think it's important to compare a little bit. PCM, Pro Cycling Manager, is a game that releases every single year. Will Velo Victory be different in that?
Well, let's first start with releasing our first edition, right? And see how that goes. We had a lot on our plate to get this first version, as we told earlier, a lot of decisions. So, to be honest, we don't have talked a lot about, okay, this is the roadmap. Next year we're gonna do this. The year after that, we're really focused on a very solid foundation, a very good first game. But yeah, it's not set in stone. It's not really our main focus is to deliver a very good first edition of the game.
How would you say Velo Victory English? How would you say Velo Victory differentiates itself from PCM?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people are asking that question. And for me, I think the game has developed an approach from a different angle. So we created Velo Victory really from the angle as a true sports management game, where the management features are the heart of the game. It doesn't mean that like race simulation isn't important, but really we want to have the management features really immersive, really deep, and reflect real life as much as possible. And maybe the comparison is a bit like FM versus FIFA. We want to be the football manager for cycling. And like FIFA also has a career mode, but people who really love the management side, they choose for football manager. And I think that's kind of the thing where we are at with Velo Victory, and how we approach the game. I want to be different than PCM.
Do you already know if players will be able to run Velo Victory on lower spec devices, or will that depend on the potential match engine future?
It will partly depend on that, because the graphics are what's most heavy on a computer. But let me say this, we really aim also for the people with a normal office laptop to be able to play the game, because it's a management game. That's also the angle where we come from. And like if you have an hour lunch break and you want to open up Velo Victory and play a few races or continue to save a bit, I think that should be possible, and that's also something we try to aim for. That people do not need a very expensive computer to play a management game.
I think that's also important because cycling manager players are not necessarily the all-out gamers out there. They're also the people that are invested in the sport of cycling or in sports itself and want to try a sports management game about the sport they love. And those people might not have a 2,500 euro gaming desktop PC sitting on their left while playing. So I applaud that myself. I saw in a couple of screenshots Hector Alvarez popping up. I met the guy doing while I was doing Paris-Roubaix Sportive on one of the cobble sectors. Super nice guy. I also saw a screenshot with Total Energy. Are these licenses that Velo Victory has agreement with the rider or the team? And how is that process of talking to and negotiating with teams and riders going?
We are very proud of that, of the Total Energies agreement that we have. So as you pointed out, they are on the latest screenshots. So that's a very nice thing we would like to share with the community, that there's an agreement with Total Energies, but and also with Alvarez was very, very enthusiastic about the game. He's a really nice guy. Yeah, the whole process of licensing is I think it's an ongoing process. It will continue up till the release. It's sometimes more easy, sometimes more complex, and we are happy to say already we have a lot of teams where we have an agreement with already.
Yeah.
But that announcement will come a little bit later in different fashions. We will reveal what those are, but also already on the screenshots, it's not just Total Energies, but people who are looking good at the screenshots will see some other names popping up left and right of teams or other stuff where we have an agreement with.
One final question before we dive into specific features, and it's a question about features. What feature of Velo Victory are you personally the most excited about?
That's a difficult thing for me to choose one feature. Mostly, I think I can explain why it's difficult to choose one feature, because I approach the game in such a way that I think about the overall feeling I want to bring to myself and to the players, the experience. And for me, that's really that all features are working so well together, and each of them are detailed, replicating real life. And that your own save game feels real. That even when you are not playing Velo Victory, you will still think about your save game, still think about decisions you made or you still have to make. And that for me is the real value of a good management game. And for that, you can't have one good feature. Yeah, everything needs to feel real, because if something feels off, the player will disconnect from your game.
It is, for example, also what comes into my mind when I play a sports management game. And for example, I've got rider morale. I want that to influence a lot of other features outside of rider morale, just like rider reputation. Where does that influence the game? Stuff like that. Actually, that is a question. Rider reputation, I saw that on the team roster page in one of the screenshots. How does that influence the game?
Well, rider reputation for starters is it's something you can see for every rider. So you won't be able to see all stats from the start for all AI teams or whatever. For a lot of cyclists, the only thing you will be able to see is their reputation. And that is, it's a bit a reflection of how well known a cyclist is, but also how a cyclist, important he finds himself. So it's going to come into play when in the transfer market, in contracts, like which teams does he seems fair to go to, what his contract ambitions will be, what role that he wants to have. Like a real life example, Chris Froome, his reputation is higher than most of the riders who are currently at the same level of him.
That's a very nice way of saying his shit.
Yeah. But so what will happen is you will see he has more reputation stars. When you try to offer him a contract, you will have to pay more than another cyclist of the same level. But on the other hand, it's not all bad. Higher reputation means more exposure.
Yeah.
So your merchandise, your sponsors, yeah, for that area, it will be better to have someone like Chris Froome than instead of another cyclist. So yeah, reputation is really tied into a lot of areas, and same for morale. You said it; it's going to impact the race, but it's going to do much more. It's like
Okay.
if a cyclist is not happy, yeah, he's less likely to extend his contract with you. Or if a cyclist is like a leader of the team, it can impact the morale of other cyclists. So you can't just say, okay, yeah, it's one cyclist that's unhappy. It can really get out of hand if you don't make the right decisions as a manager.
A question about morale to follow up on that I just thought about in the moment. Sure, when I do an action within the game, it influences the morale of my rider. Let's say Alex Aramburu is now unhappy. Are there also external factors that I don't necessarily have control over that can impact the morale of my rider?
Yes. So you have a lot of control as a manager, but just like in real life, just like with everything else, we want to replicate real life. There's things that can happen, which which are out of your control, that can make a cyclist unhappy or happy as well. It can be like he isn't called up for the national team for a race that he really wanted to do. So he can be unhappy about that. You can't do
Yeah.
anything about it as a manager if you aren't managing that national team. Maybe he has a big race on his as one of his objectives and he's getting ill just before.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will be disappointed that he cannot race, but okay, as a manager, you can't control that. But yeah, just like in real life, riders are unhappy by outside stuff as well. So that is
Yeah.
also part of the game.
That makes a lot of sense, and I like that a lot because it gives riders. We'll talk about rider personalities in a second, but it already gives riders more personality, more real feeling when stuff like that happens. When real life realism events impact them and not necessarily their teammate, they're more individual instead of just a carbon copy of the other teams within the other riders within the team. And about rider attributes and personalities, I do want to jump into something you hinted at earlier. You mentioned that you won't see all the information about other riders, for example. For example, I'm the manager of Total Energy. Raul Garcia Pierna, I probably won't know his stats from the start, but how much information do I know about him? And does it require me to scout him to get to know him better? Or do I also get to know him better by just racing with him or something?
It's firstly the reputation again. So the more well-known a cyclist is, the more you know about it. Like even if you're managing UAE, you know how good Pogacar is. But yeah, lesser known cyclists, you don't know much about them or anything about them. So it can be that you don't see any stats or just a few stats or a wide range. So your scouts are not really sure how good he is. But there's something you said that's also in the game. Like if you're managing a Turkish team, then you probably know more about cyclists than other lower level Turkish teams. But if I'm managing a top tier team in Belgium, I might not know as much about that other riders in those Turkish teams. So that's also something that is part of the game where we replicate real life. You know a lot more about the people around you and less about lesser known and far away.
In Velo Victory, riders have physical attributes, personal attributes, and rider personalities. How do personal attributes like loyalty or professionalism, how does that impact the game for me as a player?
That's certainly something we try to tie into every area of the game. So it's not like we here are four personal attributes and they do nothing or just one thing. Yeah, we like you said earlier, we want to give each rider personality so that it doesn't just feel like a scripted or coded thing or everyone's the same. They should feel unique and react in different ways, and personal stats are really welcome for that. Like a thing like loyalty, that really ties into the transfer and contract market.
Yeah.
Maybe a very loyal person is more willing to extend, but is also willing to accept a little bit less of an offer compared to another team. Yeah, because he's loyal to you, but also like, yeah, he's more likely to follow up on team orders. So it's more than one area, like and certainly professionalism. You also mentioned that's tied into a lot of areas in the game. It's how they act on the transfer markets during contract negotiations as well. But it also impacts their development, like or also how they behave in the winter. So a very professional guy is going to come out of the winter prepared. Like
I'm
you have
sorry,
some
but
others.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to imagine the personal attributes of Juan Ayuso as you are talking. These stats are
I
built
think
for him.
yeah, you have to look them up in the game, I would say. So it influences like really a lot. Like in during development of the features, we always questioned ourselves: is there a possibility to tie in the personal stats here, because that's what's going to make the cyclist feel real.
On the Steam page of Velo Victory, there is a blog post about adaptability. Is that one of the personal attributes? And how does it work?
Okay, so that's very, very good that you noticed that. So it is a personal attribute, but it's not a visible one. So you touched upon something new there.
Ooh.
There are a few hidden ones. I might as well spoil the others one as well. Um, so you have adaptability, which was discovered in the blog post, and we also have like moral sensitivity and ambition. So those three together are hidden things. They are not shown on the cyclist profile, and they are discovered through extensive scouting. They aren't discovered in the early stages. It's like almost only when you really sit down with a cyclist and have an interview with him that those personality attributes are discovered, and they are you can find them back on the Scout report in that case. And yeah, they will also, just like the other visible personal stats, will play a big role in a lot of areas.
The thing I'm most interested about adaptability is that I saw something about language and culture. Because in real life, let's say hypothetically, I'm a Belgian dude. If I decide to become a DS for Movistar, no habla español. So that won't go very well. Is that then reflected in
Yes,
adaptability or in some fashion in the
yes.
game?
That's reflected. So it even goes as far as that a cyclist with low adaptability will look at a team and say, okay, hey, I'm the only one of that nationality. That's less attractive for me to go there.
Yeah.
But also, like, relatives is a thing. So if there's already someone he knows or a relative in a team, someone with low adaptability will prefer that because he will feel more at ease.
Yeah.
So yeah, adaptability is tied into that, but also like you said, a staff member, for a cyclist to join a team, if he knows a staff member or there are staff members of the same nationality, that will appeal to him. But of course, someone with high adaptability will prefer other stuff. Okay, it might be a little bit important, but for him, it's not as important than someone who has a lower adaptability to feel at ease in a new environment.
That brings me to my next topic, rider personalities. For example, in the screenshots, we had leader by example, we had training machine, we had a couple of others. How do these rider personalities impact the game? Is that in similar fashion as personal attributes?
Yes, so they can impact things inside the race, things outside the race, or both. In that way, they are a bit the same as the personal stats, but the main difference is everyone has a level of professionalism, has a level of adaptability, but like what I like to call the personality traits are really unique to a person. It's something that's really specific for a certain type of person. And I'm like, yeah, you're not 5% natural born leader. You're a natural born leader, or you're not. And like for a natural born leader, for example, when you go to a race and that guy is having very good morale, the other cyclists on the team, the other riders will get a boost as well, because they look up to their natural born leader. So that's one thing, one example of how it can work. But like I said, it can be tied in again into different areas of the game.
In PCM, when I do transfers, there's a 33-year-old dude, let's call him Niels Pollitt, for example. I don't feel like signing old riders or riders towards the end of their career in PCM because there's limited value there. How will you
Yeah.
make older riders more valuable within Velo Victory so that they don't just fall by the wayside when they're 33 or something?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a question that every now and then it pops up in the community. It's even in Football Manager. There's always the meme like, why should you sign the old guys? I only have 21-year-olds. So yeah, we certainly try to again replicate real life here and look at why do teams have all the guys on the roster in real life. One of the things is their personality in general. The older you are, the personality has developed a little bit more, and the personal stats will be a bit more refined, a bit better. So as we touched upon earlier, it can influence others, it can influence the team. You have like also the roads captain role that will is more typically for the older guys, and that will also have influence during races and on the team members that are riding together with him. What's also a thing that we have is when an older guy starts declining, not all his stats go down. We have like the stat of bike handling that can still get better.
Yeah.
So we try to make also rider development and decline more dynamic, more real. Some stats can even progress very, very late in your career. Others go down very fast, others less fast. So that dynamic is there. And maybe I can spoil something new as well. We have a thing called mentoring. So where an older guy on your team can mentor one or a few young cyclists, and it can influence their personality. So if their personality evolves for the better, then for the young cyclist, it can again improve their development. It can make the development better, the development faster. So yeah, it's a whole chain of events just by having an older guy on your team with good personal stats that you use really to guide the young guys.
Are rider personalities a part of the rider from the beginning, or does a rider evolve and gain rider personalities throughout his career?
The younger cyclist will on average maybe have a little bit of lower personal stats, and they grow into better ones, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a younger cyclist with top professionalism. But yeah, it's also going to evolve, but not as much as you have in the normal physical stats.
Anyway, enough talk about rider personalities, rider attributes, and so forth. Super interesting. I can't wait to see it in the actual live game. But I want to talk about something that I'm perhaps even more interested in. The transfer system in Velo Victory looks incredibly in-depth compared to Pro Cycling Manager especially, where it's kind of minimal and basic. Roles that matter are seemingly in Velo Victory. Bonuses and clauses during rider negotiations, promised races. But I want to ask you a couple of questions to figure out how it works. First of all, when does the transfer season start in Velo Victory?
The official transfer market is just like in real life, August 1st.
Yeah.
But depending on the division you are in, you can start way earlier talking to cyclists, just like in real life. Like when you're World Tour team, you can start as early as March. But there's a few things to consider there. Not all cyclists, not all riders are really happy already to start talking that early. Some will, some not. Also, again, depending on the situation. But yeah, it's possible to come to an agreement with a rider before the transfer market opens officially. So that's certainly part of the game.
For example, Kevin Vauquelin. If I want to sign Kevin Vauquelin, but during negotiations I see that there's 4 other interested teams, how does that impact my attempt at signing Vauquelin? Do I feel real competitiveness in the transfer market?
Yeah, certainly. So that's one of the main things we aimed for. It's a competitive transfer market. So not that you as a player you can buy anyone you want, and if you do all your transfers on day one, you won against the AI. It's not going to work like that. It's more like in FM, where the AI knows the context, knows the situation, but also like the rider itself, he will know. He has knowledge of, okay, there are multiple teams interested in me, and so he has a stronger position at the table. So you will probably need to make a better offer. The rider will not, after the negotiations, will not say, okay, give me the papers, I will sign. He will know other teams are interested. He will wait to see if he gets a better offer or not. But it also works the other way around. It's not that you lose a cyclist because you were too late because another team talked to him and he signed on the spot. It also gives you as a player the chance to go into competition with the AI
Okay.
for a rider where the AI was first to offer.
We speak about riders now who are expired when it comes to their contract. So, for example, Kevin Volkelin's contract was expired. Will there be a possibility to, for example, Paul Sixas has a 5-year contract at Decathlon? I want a pretty good French rider. I think that's an understatement. But he's still under
A little bit.
contract. Is a contract buyout possible, or is that something you envision to add to the game in the long term?
The part of buying out the contract is in the game, but it's not part of all contracts.
Okay.
So it's part of a contract negotiation where you can offer a buyout clause, or
Okay.
a cyclist can request for it. So the chance that Paul will have one in his contract is slim, but it's not impossible. But yeah, since he's already at a World Tour team with a contract of 5 years, it's less likely to happen. But it's good to know that it can be possible. But what's more likely is like a younger guy at the Continental team with 2 or 3 years contract who maybe has a buyout clause where it even says if a World Tour team comes in, you can leave for free. So it isn't always a fee that is on it. It can be a fixed fee, but it can also be like if a team from that division comes for you, you can just talk to them.
When I look at the screenshots of Velo Victory, it looks to me like transfer and scouting goes hand to hand. As in, I scout riders, for example, I don't know, some French guy. Who can I think about? Dorian Godon. I'm scouting Dorian Godon. I know more about Dorian Godon. If I like him, I try to sign him. Do I need to have scouted Dorian Godon before I can try to negotiate a contract with him?
No. So you it's not necessary to have scouted him, but the more knowledge you have on him, so the further you scouted him, also the better of a suggestion your assistant can make. Like,
okay,
I think during the initial talks, he can already say, okay, we have very good knowledge of him. I think this is what he wants, and then it gives you a good starting point as a player, as a manager. And where otherwise you are more left in the dark, and you need to offer something, and you might offend him, or you might give him too good of a contract, and you could have signed him for less.
There's also the possibility to scout regions outside of specific riders, and this connects a little bit with what I saw on the screenshots to be a menu item about a U23 team and potentially a junior team. I don't know if I remember both being on the screenshot, but they might. How much influence do you have on U23 and development teams, and can you influence the riders that go to those teams?
Like you said, there's both U23 teams and junior teams. So and as a main team, you can have one or both,
like Red Bull.
And yeah, so for maybe first, it's a little bit different. So maybe first we can do the U23 teams.
Okay.
So if you like, you can have full control over them. You can manage them as just like your main team. For your own team, you have complete visibility of all the stats. You know your cyclist, you have the data. You also see that for development teams. So you can manage them. You can sign riders for it. You can offer new contracts. You can set their training. If you say, yeah, okay, nice that I have a U23 team, but I don't want to focus on it, you can leave that to the assistant, and then the assistant will manage the team for you. For the junior teams, they are there is less management to do for a junior team. Again, there you have the knowledge on the cyclists in the junior team. There's just not much management to do, as they're not a full team. So you can click on the cyclist, you can see the profile page, but it's more like how would I say, like in FM you have the read-only competitions, more like that. And like what's also the case is both your junior team and your development U23 team use the same facilities of your main team.
Yeah.
They share the equipment. So also by investing in those kind of things, you influence in a secondary way also development and such of those riders.
I'm taking a 1 second pause to figure out where the I am in these questions. You actually spoke about a different feature there, facilities. The most recent screenshots of Velo Victory revealed that facilities feature, but in those screenshots, there is a segment about finances. We spoke about it a little bit yesterday off camera, like, for example, available facility budget. I want to zoom out a little bit and ask, how does the financial system within Velo Victory work? I'm trying to find out about sponsors, merchandise, facility budgets, budget balancing. Can you give me a explain to me like I'm 5 description of this?
Okay, yeah, that might be a bit difficult. On the finances subject, we don't want to make it too complicated for the player, but we also don't want to say, here are a few millions, do whatever you like, and then at the end of the season, hey, you're lacking money. The basics are you have an income which comes from your sponsors, and you have your fixed expenses, which are, of course, the salaries of your riders and your staff, also your maintenance costs for your facilities. The first thing, of course, what you need to do is cover those costs with your income, those fixed. But if all goes well, you have a little bit of a surplus or a big surplus if you have a rich sponsor. And then we want to make it a bit strategic for the player. You need to divide, you get the chance 2 times a year to divide that surplus into different budgets. So on the one hand, you have what you will see in the screenshots, the facility budget. Like you see in the facility screenshots, you can upgrade facilities. You can also downgrade them if that's better for your team. But that costs money. Yeah, that money should come from your facility budget. So if you plan for an upgrade on one of your facilities, yeah, you need to plan ahead a bit. Like at the start of the season, the sponsors come, hey, here's your income. Then you already need to know, okay, I need to push a little bit of money into my facility budget.
Alex Saramburu, we both know he's a fantastic rider. In his contract, I put let's say, a bonus, whether it's for individual race win or UCI ranking bonus, a bonus. Is there a world in which I won't be able to afford his bonus if I spend too much money?
You will have to pay him. You will have to pay him. So you can't game the system. You will have to pay him. But yeah, in the end, it will come with consequences. So instead of a surplus, that will be an extra cost. So you don't have the surplus anymore if you had too many costs to divide over the budget. So what will happen is at that point in time, you have to make sure that that things check out again. So you need to take maybe money from your bank away to fill the gap.
What if I'm broke?
Yeah, what if you're broke? Okay, then what will your sponsor say? Okay, or what will the board say? Okay, we can help you out, or we can take a loan, but it comes at the consequence, like your salary budget. Instead of that you were saving for more salary to spend next year, you can spend less on salaries next year. Or the board can say we can no longer pay maintenance for your facilities then so they downgrade the facility.
Yeah.
So it comes with a consequence if you don't manage your finances well.
How realistic is the UCI point system in Velo Victory? Is it try to build it as realistic as possible?
Yeah. Okay, so it's a good question. And again, we try to replicate real life. That's a little bit of the motto we have wherever it's feasible. And here we also have like the 3-year cycle.
Yeah.
Where the promotion and relegation happens through the 3-year cycle. So that's in the game as well. We are replicating the ranking and the point system as it exists in real life.
I love that because one of the things I can't wait to do is finding a team like Astana 2025 who's in big trouble and trying to save them in a playthrough. That sounds really fun. As long as the game, of course, is challenging / difficult enough to make that a real challenge to do so. Where would you like to see Velo Victory in 5 years in an ideal world?
I hope to see Velo Victory being an established name as a sports management game. And what my dream has always been is making the cycling version of Football Manager. So
Yeah.
that's it. That we are at that point that we gave a lot of players joy with the game, and that we are acknowledged for that, and that we are at the point that people really have the feeling that I had the first time that I played Football Manager. Like you can't let it go. You keep thinking about your save game. Your own save game is for you. It's the real world. That's my main objective that I want to achieve.
Where should people follow Velo Victory in the run up to its 2026 release to get the best possible information? Is there an Instagram, Twitter, Steam page? What's the place to go?
Yeah. So the Instagram page of Velo Victory is certainly a good one to follow. The Steam page is also I think where we will post all the new stuff. Where we'll see the new screenshots. For those who are a little bit more invested and want to talk about the game, we have on the World TB Discord server, we have the Velo Victory channel.
Yeah. I'll link it below.
Yeah, where the people can join in and talk about the game and share their ideas with us. Enough places to follow us.
On Steam, you can wishlist a game that is not come out yet. How does that impact Velo Victory hypothetically? If I like Velo Victory and I wishlist it, does that improve your chances of making it a successful game?
Yeah, 100%. So if you like the game, I would certainly appreciate it for all of you to wishlist it, because just like with everything on the internet, there's an algorithm behind it. So the more people that wishlist it, the more we are getting highlighted by Steam, the more we can tell people about the game, and I think that only benefits the game and benefits the future of the game.
Okay, Davey, I think we're basically done when it comes to my questions. I really enjoyed the last hour of talking with you about Velo Victory, about the cycling management space in general, and what the future could be if Velo Victory is one of the main players. And I hope you succeed in your quest. But thank you very much for this, for your time and for your answers.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm always happy and very passionate to talk about our game.
There we go. That's the end of today's video. But before I go, I do want to ask you, what do you think about Velo Victory at the moment? Drop your takes below. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.